Okay, class, today is January 3rd, 2013. Today's objective, I will describe quadratic solutions without actually finding them. The number of solutions is determined by the degree of the polynomial. Now, you will remember that the degree of the polynomial is the highest exponent. We've talked about this before. Of course, there are real solutions and there are imaginary solutions. So you can have some imaginary, you can have some real, or you can have all real or all imaginary. But the number of solutions that you will have is the degree of the polynomial. So it's the highest exponent. If you have a polynomial that's raised x to the third power, then you will have 3 solutions. If you have a polynomial with a degree of 2, which means it's x squared is the highest term, then you will have 2 solutions. We've talked about this before. The solutions are the x-intercepts. They are also called roots or zeros. So again, anytime you see them ask you for the roots by saying find the roots or find the zeros, what they are asking for is they are asking for you to find the x-intercepts. Okay, so the discriminant is something that we are going to find today. The discriminant tells you the nature of the solutions. So it tells you whether or not they are imaginary solutions or whether they are real solutions. So here is the discriminant right here. This is the formula for the discriminant. It is b squared minus 4ac. Now, this is all coming from the standard equation, and today we're just looking at quadratics. So the standard equation for a quadratic is f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the b that we're talking about here is this b in the equation. So it's the number that is right before the x, the coefficient of the x term. The a that we're talking about is the coefficient of the squared term. And the c that we are talking about is the constant that is all by itself. Okay, so what we can do is we can use the discriminant to figure out what kind of solutions we're going to have. If the discriminant comes out to be positive, so if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then we say that it is going to have real solutions. And what that means is it's going to have real numbers as its solutions. If the discriminant comes out to be negative, that is when b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. If it comes out to be negative, then we have imaginary solutions. And we talked about this before the break. Imaginary solutions are when you have an I. So it's when you have the square root of a negative number, it is an imaginary solution. And that's why we have that. Okay, so 0, when b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, we still have real solutions, but what we have is called a double solution. So you will have one answer, but it is considered, it's also called a double root. So some people call this a double root. Okay, so let's work some problems out. Okay, so it says use the discriminant to describe the solutions. It says your answer should contain the number and the nature of the roots. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to write down what a, b, and c equal. Now, if you remember, a A is the number that is in front of the x squared term, so the coefficient of the x squared term. Now, if there's no number there, then what do we say that the number is? It is 1. So that means that A is equal to 1. Now, the B is this number right here. So B is -3. C is the constant that is by itself, so C is -28. So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what the discriminant is. So I'm going to write down my formula for the discriminant. It is b squared minus 4ac. Now I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to plug them in. So b squared, so in place of b, I'm going to put the -3. So -3 squared, and then minus 4 blank blank. Well, the blank for the first one is A. A, we determined, was 1, so I'm going to put a 1. C, we determined, was -28. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to take our calculator and we're going to multiply that out. So you can do that. You can hit pause and you can multiply it out. I'm going to do it by hand right here. -3 squared is 9. Then we have minus 4 times 1, which is -4. -4 times -28 is a positive 112. So b squared minus 4ac, we can see, is a positive number, which is positive 121. So the discriminant is positive, so we go back up here and we say, okay, what are my solutions going to be? They are going to be real solutions. So it says your answer should contain the number, so we have 121. That's what the discriminant came out to be. And then we also know that my roots are going to be real roots. And that just means that they're going to be real numbers. Okay, so let's go on down to number 2. Okay, we're going to work this one a little bit faster. Okay, so we have that A, in this case, is 1. B, in this case, is -6. And C, in this case, is 9. Okay? So we're looking at these numbers that are up here. This is B, and this one right here was C. Okay, so again, we're going to start off with our formula, b squared minus 4ac, and go ahead and plug it in. My b is -6, so I'm going to take -6 and I'm going to square it. Then I have minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 9. Okay, -6 squared is a positive 36. Minus 4 times 1 times 9 is minus 36, and that's equal to 0. Okay, so we have our discriminant is equal to 0. So if you go back up here, what does that equal? That means that we have real solutions, and in fact we're going to have a double root. So our solutions are real. And we can go on to the next problem. All right, so number 3. Before we can start number 3, we have to get it into standard form. If you notice that -6 is on the other side, we need to move that over to the other side of the equation. We need to get it in standard form. So we're going to move this over here, and it's going to become a +6. Because when you move it across an equal sign, it has to change signs. So now we have x squared plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. Now it is in standard form, and we can begin. A is 1. B is 3. And C, in this case, is a positive 6. Remember, because we moved it to the other side, it becomes positive. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our work for the discriminant. The discriminant, again, I'm going to write it over here, is b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so we're taking b squared minus 4ac, we're plugging it in. So we have 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, and times c, which is 6. 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 1 times 6 is minus 24. Okay, looky there, we're going to have a negative. We've got negative. We have that is equal to negative 15. Okay, so it is a negative. And if we go back up here and see what happens when it's negative, it has imaginary solutions. Okay, so these are going to be imaginary roots. Okay, let's pause this and let's go back and let's you do number 4, 5, and 6 by yourself. If you'll pause it right now, then I will tell you what the answer is.